Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Ooh, let me clean my camera screen. Ooh, awesome. Hello, hello. Let me share my screen. Actually, I think I may have made that a little worse. One sec. There we go. I don't know how my camera gets dirty. It's like my phone camera. All right, so I'm going to share the presentation screen here. And we're only a couple minutes away from 10, but I've been seeing some last minute signups. So we're going to get started probably about 5 after the hour. If you are already here and I see people already on, if you can go ahead and type in the chat box your name, where you're from, and your career. This way I can get to know you, we can all get to know each other, and I can also know that you can hear me. So as you're joining, please share your name, where you're from, and your career in the chat box. Ooh. All right, looks like we've got someone. The first brave soul, yay. We've got Jenny from Nashville. Hey, Jenny. You are the owner of Red Rose Hype Shop, first female in streetwear. Oh, that's exciting. Very cool. Welcome. Is this your first time here, Jenny? I don't recall seeing your name before. Yay! Awesome. So excited to have you. And I personally love Nashville. I was there maybe 2.5 years ago. I was speaking at the Tennessee Society of CPAs, and I stayed in Nashville and absolutely love the city. Beautiful place. Welcome, welcome. As you all are joining, let's follow Jenny's lead. Please share your name, where you're from, and your career in the chat box. We can all get to know each other. It's so interesting. Some weeks, everyone's like super bubbly and wants to connect, and then other weeks, people are shy. So either way goes, but it's great if we could share where we're from and what we're up to, because you never know, with this whole COVID-19, this is the new way of networking right now. Cool. We've got Michelle here. Michelle from Oakland. Hey, we're neighbors. Michelle, I'm in Emeryville, and you work for a professional sports team. Very cool. Awesome. I used to be a cheerleader for the Indianapolis Colts. Definitely love me some sports. Hey, Tirsa, welcome back. Tirsa, oh, I didn't know you were a CPA. Tirsa is a CPA in Atlanta, but not in public practice anymore, currently working as an audit liaison for a consumer organization at a large telecom company. Very cool. Awesome. I didn't know you were a fellow financial professional. Love it. All right, we're going to give folks just a couple more minutes as they roll on in. I like to start right at the hour, but I know everyone's got things going on. So we'll get started at 5 after the hour, which is 10:05 Pacific time. And actually, for Jenny, Michelle, or Tirsa, if you could let me know, I'm going to test the slides right here because a couple weeks ago we had some issues with the slides. So I'm going to hit play, and I would like you to let me know if you can see my screen move to the next screen. So right now it should say Celebrity Business Series. Perfect. Awesome. Great. All right, as I see more people coming in, welcome. If you could share in the chat box your name, where you're from, and your career, I would love to get to know you. I would love for all of us to get to know each other and create our digital community on this gorgeous Friday morning. All right, we're going to give people a couple more minutes. I see you all coming on in. As you join, please share your name, where you're from, and your career. And if you're shy, that's fine, but it's just nice. It's nice to be able to connect in whatever way we can connect with each other. I am sipping on some ginger tea this morning. These last couple of days in the Bay have been really warm. And then this morning I felt a little chilly at home. So I'm having some ginger tea this morning. All right, we're going to give everyone one more minute as you join. Please share your name, where you're from, and your career in the chat box. Gina, we've got Gina here from the Bay Area. You work in the mortgage industry. Hey, Gina. We've got Yvonne from SF. I work in internal communications at a health content publisher. So cool. Awesome. We got Vanessa here, San Francisco, in sports. Another sports person. Cool. Kabura from Kambura, Hampshire. That's your name. Criminology graduate. Awesome. And COVID has only awakened my desire to have my hands in more than one basket. Keen to learn as I see myself as a millionaire. Where else but brush my shoulders with those who know. Oh, you are from Hampshire, UK. Cool. Welcome. Hey. And I love that, Kabura. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please let me know. Definitely believe in having multiple streams of income. So you are in the right place. And Tara is a herbalist, nutrition educator, and tea maker from Oakland. Hey, Tara, so great to have you again this week. I can't wait until I can have your mimosa tea. I'm currently sipping on ginger tea, but I'm sure it's nothing like the teas that you make. So I cannot wait until we can all get together in person and I can have one of your mimosa teas. All right, y'all, it is 5 after. Let's get started. Oh, Kabura, before I get started, it says, you said it means little rain in your native tongue. Ooh, I'm going to have to look up how to pronounce your native tongue. Thank you so much I love learning. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so we're gonna hop on in. Thank you all for sharing your name, where you're from, and connecting. I hope that, this next hour that we spend together is fun and lighthearted. There's a lot of heaviness in the world. I live in the United States and there's a lot of heaviness here. And so my intention for this next hour that we're together is to invite you into my bubble, my little magical bubble of hope and possibility, peace and prosperity, and where magic and miracles can occur. I really believe in that. And I'm going to give you some tactical, practical steps on how to create that in your own life. So today we're going to do that through this case study entitled Millionaire Lessons from Shay Mitchell. And this is the last session for the month of May. And the month of May was all dedicated to celebrity businesses. So I'm a financial educator, and I thought, with all the heaviness going on in all aspects of our life and in the world, I focus on money, so there's a lot of heaviness there. I thought, well, why don't I share money lessons in a fun, lighthearted way? And so this month has been dedicated to celebrities because I love celebrity life. I feel it's a beautiful escapism sometimes, and it's just fun. So that's what this month has been dedicated to. We started off with Rihanna, then we went to Gwyneth Paltrow, and last week we looked at Jessica Alba, and now this week we're going to be talking about Shay Mitchell. And in these lessons, or in this case study, we'll go through the money lessons we can learn from our favorite stars. And then I wrap up with an overarching business theme that I gleaned from my research. And to be clear, I do not pretend that I know these celebrities in real life. Perhaps in my dreams I do. But this overarching business lesson that I've gleaned, I want to be very clear, is it's my interpretation. This is not by any means putting words into these individuals' mouths. So it's an overarching business theme that I feel that we could all apply to our own personal career. And then I provide action steps based upon that overarching business theme to help you boost your own income. Towards the end, I will open it up for questions. I'm happy to answer any specific questions about the material that I'll go over today. I'm also happy to answer any specific questions if you are an entrepreneur and if you want to dive deeper into maybe something that you're working on. The floor is yours. So that will be towards the end. A little bit about me. If this is your first time attending one of my free Financial Friday webinars, welcome. If you've checked out one before, welcome back. Happy to have you again. My name is DANETHA Doe. I'm the creator of Money and Mimosas. We have readers now in over 50 countries. I was named a personal finance expert by the Wall Street Journal and the Fast Company. Money and Mimosas is a financial well-being resource for anyone who wants to learn how to create their own economy, elevate their financial intelligence, and be more mindful with how they're allocating their money. Money, I believe, is one of the most powerful tools for voting in terms of when we align our spending and the way we make money with our values, we can be powerful change agents. So that is what Money and Mimosas is all about. It's giving you the tools you need to be able to do that. And our mission is to help you elevate your self-worth and net worth. And if you want to dive deeper into the material, we do have a Moneymaker Circle that you can learn more about on moneyandmimosas.com, or I'm happy to answer questions about it towards the end. All right, so let's hop into today's session. This series, as I mentioned, the Celebrity Business Series, has been for the month of May, and we have been focused on this quote as our guiding light through this series. This quote is, "There is power in understanding the journey of others to help you create your own." This quote is from Muse, the documentary about Kobe Bryant. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. You can get it off Amazon. I got it off of YouTube. And it's Kobe Bryant, in his own words, talking about how he looked to other basketball players to help him carve out his legacy as an incredible basketball player and entrepreneur and overall man. So definitely check out that documentary. And we're using this quote to help us really center and set the intention for why we are gleaning lessons from these celebrities. It's not that we want to be just like this other person, but there is power in looking to others for inspiration. And that's what we're going to do today with Shay Mitchell. So Shay Mitchell, you're probably very familiar with her if you signed up for this webinar. If you're not, totally fine. I'll go through her background just so you're more acquainted with her. So she is a Canadian actress. She was born in Canada, now lives in LA. She began modeling professionally in her late teens. She studied acting in Toronto. She moved to Thailand just after high school and then came back to pursue her career as her dream of being an actor. And she has found a lot of success with that. She was on Degrassi. You're probably familiar with that from Drake, the rapper, who's also from Toronto. So she was also on that show. Then she went on, her big break came when she signed a deal with Pretty Little Liars, this TV series that allowed her to move to LA and really catapulted her into stardom. I personally, I'm a fan of Pretty Little Liars. It's a really fun show if you haven't seen it. And she did really well on that series. It ran for several seasons. I believe it was until 2017. I believe they started in 2010. So at least 5 to 7 years that show ran. Did really well. And now she's on Dollface, another show that's now on Hulu. And she's also pursuing plenty of other projects, which is what we'll actually focus on for today's webinar. We won't focus necessarily on her acting, but we will focus on her lifestyle brand. So Shay Mitchell, if you've attended the other celebrity business webinars, Shay Mitchell, from my perspective, is in a slightly different league than, say, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jessica Alba. She's more like a Rihanna in that they have built businesses in so many different aspects, in so many different ways, all around their passion. So even more so than Rihanna, who's got some key lines of income through Fenty and her other partnerships, Shay Mitchell has created a complete economy based upon her passions around beauty, lifestyle, and travel. So she started off with a lifestyle blog, Amor and Vida, which is no longer in existence, but that was her initial beginning of creating a brand outside of her acting. So she started that actually with her best friend, and it was a lifestyle blog similar to Goop. When Goop first started, though, Goop is now, a full-fledged $250 million company. In the beginning stages, though, it was more of a lifestyle health and wellness blog. And so Amor and Vida was along those lines. She also partnered with Kohl's, the clothing company, to create an activewear line called Fit to Wander. She's also a spokesperson for a number of different brands. She's also an author. She's an actor, of course. She also has a production company entitled Amor and Vida as well. She also launched her YouTube channel after she signed the deal with Pretty Little Liars. And that led to Shaycation, which is a series on her YouTube channel where you can travel with Shay. It's a play off the word staycation, Shaycation, and she shows you the world through her eyes. And she also has her own product line now, Bèis Travel, and that's the photo of Bèis with some of her products. They have a number of products all for travel. It's all luggage, backpacks, now diaper bags, and it's a whole collection of items that she created based upon her love of travel and her inability to find a luggage company that really met her needs. And so this is her economy, and she is a beautiful example of how we could apply some of what she's done to create our own economy. So let's dive into what are the lessons from Shay Mitchell. Lesson number 1, pursue multiple projects. And so Shay Mitchell identifies as a multi-hyphenate. Some people may call themselves multi-passionate. She, in her interviews, says that she's got a lot of interests and she never wants to limit herself. And so she goes after anything that she wants when she wants to and doesn't confine herself to a specific box. She's an actress, she's a model, she's a blogger, she's a vlogger, she's a spokesperson, and she's an entrepreneur. And for many of us, I gather that if you're attracted to money and mimosas, you found this webinar, you likely can identify with that as well, having multiple passions. Whether that's, someone mentioned studying criminal justice. You may also love beauty. You may also love travel. And conventional wisdom, particularly within the financial space, will say you've got to focus. You've got to be very clear on the one thing that you want and go after it with all of your focus. And Shay Mitchell is an example of someone that says, you know what, forget that. I have a lot of different passions, and by pursuing all of them, in fact, it helps elevate her entire brand. because they all play into each other. As a blogger and vlogger, she's building a fan base that's likely going to go see her movies or watch her TV shows. Being a spokesperson for a larger brand allows her to expand her customer base, who's likely going to buy one of her products from Bèis Travel and then also probably watch one of her shows. So she shows that when we pursue our passions, they may on the surface seem disconnected, but they all work together if they're truly, coming from a place of passion and love. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two, to go along with that, though, is to love what you do. So it's not going to be effective if you pursue a ton of different passion projects if they aren't truly your passion, right? And Shay does, in one particular interview, talk about how she has the energy to do all the things that she does. That's a question that she gets posed often: is how do you do your vlog and your blog and this travel company and act and actually travel and have time for your own health and wellness? And she says that all of her passions are just based, all of her projects rather, are based on her passions of beauty, travel, and lifestyle. And doing what she loves gives her a lot of energy. She may not be completely balanced in terms of getting enough sleep, perhaps. She alludes to that in some of her interviews, that maybe she could do a little better in that department, but she's happy because she's fueled by this inner drive that comes about when we tap into that life force. And that life force that we all have is related to our passions. When we're really clear on our desires, what we're passionate about, the energy will come along with that. I'm sure you've seen that in your own life. And that's something that to continue to remember, that when we truly follow our hearts, follow the passion that's within us, we will find the energy to do all the things. Lesson number 3, forge your own path. Now, this was interesting to find out about Shay. So she launched her YouTube channel while she was on set for Pretty Little Liars. So while they were still filming, and she was probably earning between $500,000 and $840,000 for that season, per season. And I give that range because Lucy Hale, the main star on Pretty Little Liars, it's reported that she earns $840,000 for one season. And so I gather that, well, Shay Mitchell definitely didn't make more than that. She may not have made as much. So it was between $500,000 and $840,000. None of that has been verified, so don't take those numbers to heart, but that's what I gleaned from the research. And that amount of money, that's a decent earning, that's a decent living. And she still, though, wanted to expand her brand and expand the number of ways that she could earn an income. And one of those ways that she thought of was to launch a YouTube channel. She saw the future of TV, and that it was going to move online, and that people weren't going to want to be, even though we had TiVo at the time and people could start watching shows whenever they wanted to, she really saw that that was actually a foreshadow of shows actually not necessarily being on TV and having a specific time slot. She saw them moving more towards online and streaming. And she thought, well, why don't I get ahead of the curve and start my own YouTube channel? And so she did. She started it with that in mind. She also started it in mind with the fact that she wanted to connect with her fans in a more personal way. And when she did that, she was actually ridiculed by her peers in the acting field, because the idea was, oh, how cute, like you're starting a YouTube channel, you're going to be like one of those influencers. Oh, that's precious. We're going to, focus on being true Hollywood starlets and not do that whole online thing. Somewhat akin to the, back in the day when actors started to move from film to TV, there was also that snootiness of, oh, you're moving to TV, that's not true acting. Similar, it was a similar vibe. And so she was ridiculed in the beginning for moving online, and she still went with her intuition, her gut instinct, and said, you know what, I see this as the future. And even beyond that, seeing it as the future, she loved it. She loved having control over the content. She was incredibly creative, and YouTube gave her the opportunity to express herself in a different way than she could on set at Pretty Little Liars. And and that was her, that and her lifestyle blog, Amor and Vida, was really the foundation for her to create her own economy. From those two decisions, she set herself up. She gave herself the foundation to be able to talk directly to her fans, directly to her customer base. And from there, she has created products and books and so many other income streams because she has a direct connection with her community. She can talk to them directly, she can get feedback immediately, and she did all of that by listening to her own intuition. So a lesson to all of us that, perhaps we may be ridiculed by others that are perhaps close to us within our same fields, but listen to your intuition, listen to your gut instinct, and just go for it. Lesson number 4, practice relentless positivity. I Every time I listen to Shay Mitchell's interviews, and I was a huge fan of her before, that's why I decided to do a case study about her. And then, as I was, like with all of these women during the celebrity business series, as I research them and watch their interviews, I just fall more in love with them because it's very clear how much they put themselves into their work, and it shows. It's such a beautiful example for all of us to do the work to really know ourselves and allow ourselves to shine in our brightest light. And so with Shay Mitchell in particular, in her interviews, one of the things that she goes back to when asked, how did you create your career? How are you doing all these things? One of the things that she mentions is that she practices positive thinking. And that seems so simple and basic, and it is foundational and fundamental. However, it's something that many of us it's easy to forget. It's easy to get caught up in things that drain our energy, that dull our money aura. If you attended the Elevating Your Money Aura webinar, you'll remember the difference between a radiant money aura and a dull money aura. And the goal, of course, is to move more towards the radiant money aura. It's almost like having an abundant mindset versus a scarcity mindset. Our aura is our energetic field. And so the way Shay Mitchell practices and elevates her money aura is through positive thinking. She truly sees the glass as always half full. She mentioned that from an early age, her mom and dad taught her that it's not the situation that's going to determine your experience, it's your reaction to it. So whether it's a quote unquote negative experience or a quote unquote positive experience, it's really the reaction that you have to it that's going to determine what your life will look like moving forward. And that type of approach, it attracts opportunities. People want to be around people who are radiant, who are, thinking of possibility, believe in the power of hope, believe in creating a new vision and creating a new life or a new way of doing something. And so her approach to her business and to her life attracts all of these possibilities that otherwise she may not have been able to pursue if she just wasn't, who she is, which is being a positive thinker and practicing that almost as if it's a religion, essentially. So a lesson to all of us is, not necessarily practicing positive thinking without being grounded in reality. We certainly want to be aware of what's going on around us and not bury our heads in the sand. At the same time, learning how we can each, err more towards that abundant mindset, the radiant side of money, and allow things and possibilities to be drawn to us because of who we are. All right, lesson number 5, involve customers in the creative process. Shay Mitchell's brand is built on connection. As I mentioned, she launched her YouTube channel because she saw that as a direction of TV to be more streaming, but also because she wanted to be more connected with her fan base, with, at the time it was her fan base, and eventually they'll become her customer base. And she has built this relationship of letting her fans into her life so that they can see what it's like to be Shay Mitchell. So she showed the behind the scenes of creating Bèis. There's a video on her YouTube channel where she takes us to China with her, because that's where they source a lot of their materials, and we see what it's like to go to different factories and to talk to different people about the different options for her luggage brand. She also talks about how they came up with the color scheme and the logo, and then how she changed her mind about the logo after going back and forth for months, and then all of a sudden she wanted to change it. And so she shows us the behind the scenes of what it's like to create a brand from the ground up. She also took us on her journey of being pregnant, and she announced her pregnancy on her social media platform. She didn't do it through a media outlet. She wanted to control the narrative. And then she did blogs, video blogging of what it was like to be pregnant. And it was beautiful the way she did it, because later she shared that she had a miscarriage, and she was really shy about even sharing that she was pregnant with her friends, because after the miscarriage, she just wasn't sure, how it would go this time. And so, the fact that she not only told her friends, obviously, but then allowed her fans and her viewers, subscribers to see the journey was also, it was touching, really beautiful. And then she also has her Shaycations. And so Shay Mitchell loves to travel. This is the core essence of her brand, is her love for travel. Of course, she has the Bèis Travel luggage. She also has Shaycations. Shaycations came before her luggage brand. And this is where we get to travel the world with Shay. It is beautifully documented. She says that her team, when it comes to recording her traveling, it's less than 5 people. And the quality it looks like it's done by a full-fledged production company. Of course, she owns a production company, but it's a small group of people that put together these beautiful videos. And the video showcases fashion and food and culture, and all through the eyes of Shay. And it's a beautiful way to see another side of the world, another country, and it's also a way for her to connect with her fans. So with your own personal brand and business, find a way that you can showcase something that you feel comfortable with. Of course, keep things that are very private to you private, but then other aspects share with your subscribers, with your customers, to show the human side and to allow them to get to see who is the man or woman behind the business. All right, lesson number 6, understand all aspects of the business. Now, this was a big one that came through, one of the bigger lessons that came through. They're all important, but this one especially, around mastering your craft. And Shay talked about, similar to Jessica Alba, they both started businesses in an area that they didn't have any experience in. They didn't go to business school. They didn't have a background in international business or distribution or manufacturing. And Shay Mitchell talks about how she had to learn about finances. Essentially, she's the CEO, the CFO, and head of operations for her vision. And so she had to learn about accounting and finances when it came to running an international business, including tariffs. That was an aspect that she was not familiar with. She had to learn about that, learn about operations. She also had to learn about sourcing material. As I mentioned, she flew to China and showed us her visit there and the steps she had to take to figure out what was the best material for their products. And so for all of us, there are going to be aspects that of our business that we may not have experience in, but in order to be truly successful as entrepreneurs, we're going to have to at least learn about it. You can hire someone to help you in areas that aren't your strengths, of course. However, knowing about it is going to only help you elevate your business. And as Shay said, she's focused on the fun, sexy part of her business, like the branding and the creative side. But she said, I'm not just focused on the sexy side of business. I do get my hands dirty and learn about all aspects of it. Lesson number 7, write a book. This was, I had no idea she had a book until I did some research on her. And so she wrote a book called Bliss back in 2015 with her best friend, the same best friend that she launched her lifestyle blog with. And the book it's a book about these friends that live this charmed life mostly in LA, but they also travel to Thailand and they're living like the glamorous, glitzy life in your early 20s, where everything's a possibility and you're jet setting. That was the theme of the book, a jet setter lifestyle. And the book, regardless of the topic of the book, with most books, if you look at the financials behind it, most people don't get rich from writing books. There are certainly authors who do it full time and they've created a career around that. But for the most part, when it comes to entrepreneurs, particularly those of us who are multi-passionate entrepreneurs, a book really serves as PR. It's a way to get your name out there and expand and deepen your relationship with your customer base. So that's what her book did for her, Bliss. It led to press opportunities. She was featured on the Build series, which is a Yahoo series on YouTube. And she did a number of interviews about the book. And this, as I mentioned, this is a PR move. It's a great way to expand your customer base, to connect with your consumers in a different way. And it's also, in her case, it's a fun, lighthearted book, which goes along with her brand of being fun and lighthearted. So it's something that further deepens the way her customers can relate to their brand. So for you, a book could be a way for you to continue to showcase your particular expertise, your knowledge. If it's more of a brand building thing, it could be something along the lines of what Shay did, which is more lifestyle, not necessarily something that, for instance, it doesn't position her as a travel expert, right? It's a fun read. And so either direction you go, writing a book is a great way, it's a great PR move and something perhaps to consider for your own brand or business. All right, lesson number 8, practice cultural consciousness. Now, this is something that is a lesson in what not to do. Now, in my research of Shay Mitchell, again, absolutely adore her brand and approach. As I was doing research, though, there is a clear lack of depth in her brand and business. And this is something moving forward that anyone that has a public profile, even if your public profile isn't going to be 4 million YouTube followers, such as Shay Mitchell, you will have a public profile in your own way, in your own community. Excuse me. And moving forward, it's going to be incredibly important that your brand and business does have an element of legacy in terms of what is the lasting impact you wish to have on this planet? How do you wish to move the needle forward, whether it's around economic injustice or sustainability or cultural consciousness? How are you utilizing your voice to make the next generation better? And so with Shay, unfortunately, as I was listening to her interviews, she's someone who's well traveled, which I would then say is someone who is incredibly cultured because you've seen different cultures, you have a deeper understanding of life outside of North America in her instance. So she grew up in Canada, now lives in LA. So outside of our bubble in North America, she's seen other parts of the world. And unfortunately, for instance, when she refers, there have been a couple of interviews where they asked, where's the next place you want to travel? And she'll mention Africa as if it's a monolithic location. There aren't several countries within this continent. And in one interview in particular with Ashley Graham of Pretty Big Deal, Shay's tone when Ashley pushed her on that, Shay said Africa as her answer, and Ashley goes, well, which country, for goodness sakes? And Shay got a little defensive, and that type of response is not something I would have expected from someone who has traveled as much as she has, and someone who has based her brand on traveling. And so if she were someone that I was advising, I would highly recommend that she thinks about how she wants to position her brand moving forward that really is about leaving a legacy. So it could be about sustainability. When we travel, there is efforts around sustainable travel. When we go to other places, we have to think about moving forward that this does impact the environment. It impacts because we are flying there, of course, and then the way we are there in the country will impact the local environment. So adding some elements to her brand around how people can be more conscious as they travel, whether it's related to sustainability or culture, that can be something that she can start incorporating within her brand. She is now a mom of a Black son, so maybe it's race inequality that she wants to start addressing. In preparing for this webinar, I did go through her Instagram, and she has been posting about race inequality in her Instagram story. So perhaps that's the direction she wants to go. It's really up to the person to find something that is authentic to them. These are just some ideas of what me as an outsider would recommend to a brand that's based around travel and culture. And now she's a mom of a Black son. And so for you think about what's authentic to you. Think about the legacy you wish to leave with your business. What's the overarching impact that you wish to have? And that helps. It's the right thing to do. And two, it rounds out your business. It rounds out the brand. It gives depth. It allows your customer base, your fan base to see that you're more than just about getting more followers, making more money, that you're really trying to do, you have a bigger mission in mind. All right, lesson number 9 is to be real. Shay Mitchell's authenticity, particularly when it comes to her experience becoming a new mom, is incredibly refreshing. As I mentioned, she did have a miscarriage, and she was candid about that in the same interview, actually, that I referenced in the last lesson with Ashley Graham on Pretty Big Deal. She talks about in that interview the not so glamorous side of being a mom, which was beautiful to watch two women having a really authentic, candid conversation about all aspects of pregnancy, new motherhood, and allow the rest of us to watch it. So she also talked about prepartum, which I was familiar with postpartum, but not necessarily with prepartum. And Shay Mitchell also mentioned that she was not familiar with prepartum. And Ashley went on to say that when Shay had mentioned prepartum on her Instagram, that Ashley said to herself, oh my gosh, I hadn't heard of prepartum, but this is exactly what I'm experiencing. And so using her brand as a way to share her experiences is, I imagine, cathartic for her, therapeutic for her. It's also helpful to others who are possibly on the same journey. So her sharing a prepartum, which is essentially she was feeling incredibly depressed while pregnant, was something that, she didn't have to share that with us. That's personal, that's private, and the fact that she did was something that will help a lot of people, and just shed light on all of the things that women moms have to work with when they are building a business and brand. She also talks about new mom guilt, and the first time she went out without her daughter, and or without her child, and thinking about um, how that was tough for her to deal with in the beginning. And then lesson number 10, evolve your brand as you evolve. And so with Shay Mitchell, it was beautiful just going through her career, because it's really been an evolution. She started in TV, she went to film, now she's on YouTube. She had started with a lifestyle blog, and then she's now doing diaper bags for her travel line. She was a Pantene spokesperson, and now she's a Pampers spokesperson. So as your business evolves, as your life evolves, rather, allow your business to also evolve with it. I think Shay's evolution really shows us that we can we can build a business that reflects our life. We don't have to pigeonhole ourselves not only in one aspect of work, but we don't have to pigeon ourselves into one expression of our work either. She has allowed her brand to be malleable enough to give her the opportunity to express herself depending upon where she's at in her life. And that's incredibly inspiring, and something that we can all apply to our particular businesses. And those are the lessons from Shay Mitchell. And to bring us back to where we grounded ourselves in before going into those lessons, there is power in understanding the journey of others to help you create your own. So as you reflect on those lessons, take them as just sparks of inspiration, insight, perhaps for you creating your own unique journey as an entrepreneur. And then the overarching lesson from Shay Mitchell's success, this was what I took away from it, from my research, was creating your own economy. Shay Mitchell has done a remarkable job of, she is essentially her own economy. She has these lines of these revenue streams that are all based on her own passions. And she's created those lines of revenue, those companies, but she's also created a customer base that she has direct access to. She doesn't have to wait to sign another film series or a TV series or another film in order to expand her reach or to get back in touch with her customers, because she's got her YouTube channel and a direct relationship with them. So that's the overarching lesson from Shay Mitchell. And then how can we do that? How can we go about taking the steps that we need to take in order to create our own economy? So step number 1, I would recommend that you list 10 potential revenue streams for your brand. Get creative, let your mind wander. Don't put limitations on yourself. Remember, Shay has taught us to never limit ourselves. And just think about all the different ways you can make money doing exactly what you love based upon your own passions, whether that's in the health and wellness space or the beauty space or sports or the financial world, anything. There's so many different ways that you can create revenue streams based upon those passions. And then step number 2, you want to focus on creating a foundation for those revenue streams. And that means having multiple ways that you're generating income to help you. We did talk about this in the Elevating Your Financial Wellbeing webinar. If you missed that, all of these are also on my YouTube channel. You can go back and review Elevating Your Financial Wellbeing, where we talked about multiple revenue streams. Whether you're a full-time entrepreneur or you're in corporate, I do highly recommend everyone having multiple revenue streams. whether you're in either camp. And so the way to do that is creating a foundation for corporate partnerships. So thinking about brands, corporations that you can partner with, either as a spokesperson or as a part of their efforts to, usually marketing, PR is a great place to start with forging those relationships with corporate or brand partners. Thinking about community advocacy. So what is the mission behind the work that you're doing, and how can you support your community around your mission? So let's say, for instance, that Shay Mitchell decided that her mission was around sustainability. Looking for organizations that are in that space that she can partner with and start to support them in their efforts, and then further round out her business and brands. And then also think about physical products. So if you are in the service space arena, so maybe you're a health coach, or you're a financial coach, or you're something along those lines where you're providing a service, how can you add a physical product to what you're doing? And that was one of the keys from Shay Mitchell. I do believe going forward that Bèis Travel is something that really helps her brand move from just being an online-based brand, because now she's in the 3D physical world, and having both of those will help create a stronger business model for her economy. So think about how you can have a physical product that's related to your business. And then 3, as Shay Mitchell has taught us, it's necessary to understand all aspects of your business, all aspects of your brand. So educate yourself on SEO, finances, videography, branding, economics, understanding how economic principles apply to your business will help you elevate it to that next level. And that doesn't mean you have to be an expert in all of these things, but having an understanding enough so that perhaps you do it yourself, or enough so that you know who you need to hire and what exactly they need to do to help you, will help you build your business to that next step. And that is Millionaire Lessons from Shay Mitchell. I hope you had as much fun listening as I did watching all of her interviews and grabbing photos. It was really a lot of fun. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you want more tips, you can always go to moneyandmimosas.com. Every Sunday, I send out a love letter with money tips for the week, and my insights around economics and how that will impact each of us, either as entrepreneurs or as investors. You can sign up for that at moneyandmimosas.com. And if you want to continue to dive deeper, we do have the Money Makers Circle, and we are starting a new month. I can't believe it's already June. So next month each month we have a new book that we dive into. This is a new thing that we're doing. And this upcoming month, we're looking at The Law of Divine Compensation by Marianne Williamson. So you can check that out on Moneymakers or moneyandmimosas.com. And now it's time for Q&A. Let me exit out of the screen. And I would love to see if there's any questions. Tirsa says she watched The Muse on Showtime. Oh, great. Yeah, it's absolutely excellent. Absolutely. Cool. Someone says, great job on your success. Thank you. Thanks. Gina, thank you. Looking forward to attending more of these webinars. Yay, awesome. Oh yes, so we won't be having one next week, but we will have webinars again starting the following Friday, which is June 12th. And we are going to talk about money horoscopes. So it's going to be based upon your sun sign. So the first one will be Gemini, and then we'll go into Cancer, and so on and so forth. So look out for that announcement when it comes through. Cool beans. Yay, so glad you enjoyed it, Tara and Gina. Awesome. A question, great. Abe says, any advice on establishing an LLC to cover multiple streams for revenue? Yes, Abe, great question. So LLCs is an entity, just so everyone knows what an LLC, in case you don't, especially if you're not in the United States. An LLC is an entity formation. So you can be a sole proprietor. That's the easiest way to start a business. It's little paperwork. I think it's 25 bucks at least here in Oakland to get that started. And then an LLC is another form, another entity formation for your company. And the reason why someone would start it is for two reasons. One, to protect your assets. So particularly if you're someone in a field where you could be sued, for instance, if you're offering financial advice, for instance, or if you're offering medical advice, you'll want to protect your personal information or personal assets from your company. And then also someone will do it for tax purposes. So an LLC gives you more flexibility with how you file, what you claim, and how much you can write off. And so an LLC, and then within an LLC, there's also the S Corp. So that's a different election under the LLC. An S Corp gives you even more flexibility with how you claim what you're writing off and how you file your taxes. And so I typically recommend an LLC once someone has earned 70,000 in income from their businesses. So 70,000 for the year, that's US dollars. Before then, you can certainly do that. And that's why I mentioned, protecting your personal assets, because even before you reach 70 grand in earnings, you may want to protect your assets. And so an LLC can be used for those purposes. I think it's a great way to really solidify and elevate your business, because it gives it that, I don't know, it makes it more professional. Also, there are times when clients, I've had this experience where there are clients that will only work with you if you are an LLC. So for instance, I work with a lot of banks, financial institutions. They won't work with me, or they wouldn't work with me if I wasn't an LLC or some sort of incorporation. So if I wasn't incorporated. And so that's something to consider as well. I can't give specific advice if it's like the right time for you to be an LLC, but those are the things I would consider as you're thinking about which entity formation is right for you. Where are you based, Abe? Which state or country? Obviously, you'll be in the United States, but since you're asking about LLCs. California. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm in California too. So yeah, so with California, there is an $800 fee as well to maintain your LLC. That's regardless of how much money you're making. Even if you're posting a net loss or you made $0 in the business, there is still that annual fee. So another thing to consider. Yeah. Cool. That's a great question. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Cool, cool. I'll give you all a couple minutes if you have any other questions. Oh, I got stuff on my lip. All right, great. Well, it looks like there's no more questions. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for your energy and presence today. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see each other in a couple weeks. Bye.